Welcome to B.Y.O.LOGUES, where youth advocates sit down, have a conversation about the facts, topics, and all things community. We are here with Beyond Youth Organizing Youth Advocates. Can you all take a chance to introduce yourselves?
I'm Micheal.
I'm Denim.
I'm Willam.
I'm Willam.
I'm Denim.
And I'm Christen Kelly, the youth coordinator. And today, our topic is the youth policies 1207 and 1202. So, first, some background facts about BIO and the youth policies. The youth policies were established in the year 2022. Policy 1207, Youth Interrogations, was published September 26, 2022, and Policy 1202, Interactions with Youth, was published December 14, 2022. And Beyond Youth Organizing has worked closely with these policies. So, my first question to you guys is, while working with these policies, what was your biggest takeaway from each policy?
What my biggest takeaway from 1207 was they put this in place because they knew that officers would try to be rough with minors because they can't protect themselves. And my biggest takeaway from 1202 is they want the officers to make the youth feel comfortable enough to talk to them so they wouldn't have to be afraid.
Okay. Yes.
My biggest takeaway from policy 1207 is that youth have a right to be advised of their rights and that there are not special privileges per se, but there are like special guidelines that officers have to follow when dealing with youth because youth that's a unique like group of people. That's young people. So the interactions with adults are going to be the interactions with youth are going to be vastly different from adults. So really it's about youth being advised of their rights and their rights deserve to be respected.
Next. Takeaways?
A big takeaway from policy 1202 that I have is that basically this exists just to make sure that youth know that their rights are actually need to be followed just like any other adult who's being questioned or being put into custody or also not being put into custody. It also gives youth the ability to just deny answering any questions if they simply do not want to and they're not being put into custody, which is obviously very good because they shouldn't be forced to answer anything that they might know and might give a wrong answer to that could incriminate them for their wrong reasons.
Right. Why did you say that? Because they might know that this officers can force you.
Yeah, because because officers are quote unquote people with authority, and to a younger person that might be intimidating, and the officer could definitely theoretically coerce them into saying stuff that could incriminate them.
Right. Did I say that takeaways?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from 1207 is like mainly like what Denim was saying, like the situations will most likely be very different. Like for example, they've had a panic attack if an officer approaches them asking like a bunch of questions about something like a crime that happened. So even though they're not guilty, they can still be.
They can be intimidated.
Yeah. I think everybody summed it up.
Well, that's true.
I'm laughing because you said
Anyway, next question. Well, this isn't on the script, but so y'all said y'all takeaways. How does it make y'all feel as advocates in the city working on the policies to see officers not really playing their part wholly in the policies or actually following the rules? Or you see that some officers are against it, like the video, I think some of us watched when we watched the Fox video, and the officer was saying how the policies are hindering them from basically making arrests with the youth. So
like two boys that stole a car.
So how does that make y'all feel to see that as advocates to see that officers are really doing their part for these officers.
Honestly, it makes me angry. Because we put work into making sure that these are actually put into, like, I guess, law, right? Yeah, it's a placement. And they're just completely disregarding them and saying that, quote unquote, they're stopping us from doing our jobs, even though that these policies don't have any actual interference with their jobs. It just makes it so they have to do. It just makes it so that we have to do a bit extra stuff when interacting with youth. There's nothing in there that states that you cannot arrest youth.
Right.
So yeah.
It says you have to use the right judgment and be careful and attentive when you do come to the
Yeah, and just follow these little bit rules that basically just say, hey, you can't intimidate them into saying whatever you want.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of Micheal, like, State's Attorney Ivan Bates said something similar with the Child Interrogation Protection Act. He said that it was hampering investigations during what he called an increase in youth crime. And I mean, if your job is to serve the community, I really think that you should be, like, considering what the community members say, and you should work towards building bridges instead of burning bridges, because it really, like Micheal was saying, like, it makes me angry, because if you were supposed to be protecting and upholding your rights, I mean, you should be using your rights and using your privilege and your power in a non, like, dominating and abusive way. And I just think that, like, ignoring, not necessarily ignoring, but, like, sweeping police behavior, like, under the rug and, like, saying, oh, well, you know, these acts and these laws are interfering with our investigations, rather than saying, like, hey, maybe we need to reflect on these policies, or, well, not policies, maybe we need to reflect on the behavior of police officers and, you know, see where this is coming from, where this is stemming from, and how they can improve. But I mean, they're doing the polar opposite of that. And I think that's very problematic, because if we are looking to build if officers are looking to build better rapport with community, then you need to be willing to take the feedback and the criticism from community members, because we experience the impacts of the power and the structures and the policies firsthand, not them. So it makes me angry.
So, anybody else? That question? So, like, do you guys feel like these policies, have they been effective for the youth of Baltimore since they've been put in place? Why? Why not? Or you could be like, what it tends to, like, just go in depth.
I feel that some officers have been, like, using the policies, because some officers do care about the children, but other officers don't really care. They will go to violence more so. But then I also understand why they go to violence, because some of these kids, they be violent towards the officers, so they have no choice but to fight down the violence.
I think somewhat, but at the same time, no, because, you know, like, you really know about the policies, because I didn't know until, like, I started looking at it, I got here. But I don't think a lot of youth know about the policies to use the laws.
Okay.
I would say I don't think the policies have been effective, because, I mean, recently there was a situation at my school, which I actually ended up following up with the person last week during lunch. But there was a situation at my school, maybe last month. Yes, last month. And there was a fight, and a young man was randomly searched because apparently he picked something up, and the something was a gun. And he was searched, and he said that his father, like, talked to administration about searching him because they never read him his rights, or they never said, like, hey, we noticed that you were close to the fight, when this happened, like, would you mind talking to us about it? They never said that. Like, they just jumped to, oh, well, you were there, let's search you.
Yeah.
But he said that his father talked to the school administration about the situation, and he said they didn't do anything. He said that the officer, like, apologized, and, like, the administrator had, like, said sorry or something, but, like, sorry isn't really gonna fix, like, the fact that he was randomly searched and, like, did not deserve to be randomly searched, because he was, like, when there are fights at my school, which are, I mean, it's not unique. This happens at any other school, but when there are fights, like, people crowd around and, like, surround the people who are fighting. He was the only person who was searched. Like, no one else near him was searched. So I kind of feel like because he was singled out, like, that was not fair to him. And, like, he jokingly said that, like, his father could sue the school, but, like, I didn't take it as a joke because I think that his father is just, yeah, if his father really did want to get, like, legal support involved, he really could. Maybe this could be a case, or maybe this could be handled in court. But he said that they said sorry and there was nothing else that happened. And I said, like, you know, how did that make you feel? Like, the outcome of the situation just being, like, sorry. And he was like, you know, we're Black in America. Like, you know, this happens. And that made me, like, so upset because I'm just like, that's right. But I don't want it to happen. That's right. But I think, you know, you should have been protected. That's right. But that bothers me. And people, like, officers need to do that. In that way. I just feel like his rights should have been vested in, period. And they weren't.
Yeah. So, like, that interactions is key because if y'all do have it, or security, is it in school, like, from y'all experience, personal experience, is it good, is it bad? Y'all feel like it could be better?
Security at my school, they be making, like, they be friends with the students, like, they be making it with them. So, that's pretty not that bad, I would say.
So it's just generous.
Yeah.
You said what?
Yeah.
That's another thing too, because I remember Denim said something about how school police officers don't really do their job. They're just here for a check. So maybe that's why they're so friendly or carefree. I ain't shaking your head though.
I mean, not mine's. We only have one, because
For a whole school.
we don't have problems. Like,
Oh, you don't have no fights.
none. You get a yes,
But security is for a lot of reasons. Like, it's not just for violence.
yeah. But he just does his job, and then he's nice. So.
Well, we have several. Well, we have two, maybe, like, no, there's an office when you walk into the school on the left-hand side. And there are two officers, two female officers, and they call for backup all the time, like, when it's a fight. Like, I've been there before where I see, like, 7 of them, like, standing together or, like, congregating and stuff like that. And, I mean, I would say that my interactions with the officers, I mean, I'm both afraid and calm at the same time. Like, it's a very interesting, like, my interactions with them are, I mean, I rarely see them or, like, rarely have to talk to them because I come to school, go to class, do my thing. I'm not in the hallway unless I have to use the restroom. But, like, other than that, I'm just, like, in class. But I would say at the same time, like, when I see them in groups or, like, when I see multiple of them, like, coming in to break up a fight, I get fearful. I become fearful because I just don't know what they can do. And, like, I mean, I've also heard, like, a situation before where, like, I don't know if this is hearsay or what, but apparently, like, one of the officers pulled out their baton. And I know, like, last year during the brawl at my school, like, the same officer, like, she tased the ground or something, like, so people could flee because it was, like, a lot of students who were, like, surrounding this fight, and she, like, tased the ground so, like, they could disperse. But, like, that was dangerous. And then there was another incident, I think, where, like, the same officer like sprayed like pepper spray or something, and people were like coughing, and they were like worried. So like, it's just a lot going on. It's like on one hand they are okay, but then it's like on the other hand when it comes to like fights or like students getting in like physical altercations, like I just think
They don't know how to handle it.
no, they don't. Like it could be a bit excessive or like too much. I don't know.
Yeah. So like, how do you feel like you can learn about the policies if it's not being promoted at all? So you tell like, nowhere do they really promote the policies for you to understand. It's more so just for officers to have a rule book. But how is it that we could get you to know about the policies when they aren't really made so that you can find out?
Instagram.
TikTok.
Social media.
Yep.
Yeah, social media.
So, guys,
You said what?
I will slow down.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But maybe not like if they actually get interested, they can see if they know some other people that look around stuff like that, and they can Google information on something.
Yeah, I feel like, me personally, I think that it should be in the schools, or like officers should be coming, or the school police should be talking about it in schools about the policies and stuff, only because that's their job to make sure kids are safe no matter what, in school, outside of school. So that's what I was thinking. Like,
I agree because I just feel like I don't see the officers like they're in their office for the most part. And like I mean I have seen them in the hallway and stuff, but like I feel like they are only on the scene when there is a conflict or an altercation. And I mean and they're all I mean they're nice and they talk to students like similar to London school. They crack jokes with students and they have good conversations with students and stuff, but I feel like they could be doing more, such as coming in the classrooms. Because I know last year, one of the officers, she came in our class, and my teacher, but my teacher was also very proactive in getting her to come in our class and speak with us. So I feel like if more teachers found the importance of police and student, particularly Black students, if they found if they noticed that, that relationship needed to be built, then they would push for that more. But I feel like, I mean, these are the same teachers who were making problematic statements and like microaggressions. So it's like, do I expect this? Do I expect this teacher to say, "Oh, let me get this officer in here, so let's bring this officer for a lesson and have them talk to the students and build rapport"? No, I'm not expecting that from them. I don't have high expectations for my teachers. Some of them, at least. But
I think it should be PD though. Like, it shouldn't be the teachers who are trying to force it in the classroom. It should be the police officers who are enforcing the laws, because they are law enforcement. So I feel like it's kind of hand in hand. Like,
They don't want to do that because they feel like some kids don't really care. Which is true, some kids don't care, but a lot of kids don't really seem stuff like that.
and also because they don't really like the policies and rules that they have to follow. So maybe that's why they have it also. But
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, personally, I follow rules, but I also have trouble with authority. And people who have trouble with authority, rightfully so, because the authority doesn't tend to look like us. And when we have these interactions with the authority, they aren't positive interactions. So I feel like it's going to take some time for students to have trust in police officers. And I mean, with recently there was a situation in my family with a police officer just having just unnecessary behavior. So I feel like my trust for them, I'm losing my trust.
and it's not any, it's no positivity.
Yes, definitely. But I was gonna say I really agree with London with like social media, but also like I mean it is true that like people scroll past that stuff, myself included, maybe. But I feel like the Instagram page Impact does a great job with like spreading information. Like Impact has like millions of followers, and a lot of those followers are Gen Z individuals, and I feel like Impact is so popular because their graphics, their visuals are so aesthetically pleasing, and also they're not overwhelming you with information because like we don't have our policy packets with us, but like that policy packet is like 12 pages long.
Yeah.
We had to read that because that was like our assignment, that was our work. But someone like a peer of mine,
The average person.
the average person is not reading 12 pages full of law, legal terms, and big words being thrown at you. I mean, not to say that like people don't have a sophisticated vocabulary, because I mean, we can all have a conversation about, the laws together. It's, we can, I believe in us.
Mm-hmm.
But like 12 pages of that on like Instagram, people would tune out. Like I would be bored.
They probably tune after like the first half page.
Yeah. So like the good thing about Impact, their information is like really concise. So I feel like if the laws were concise and if they were like colorful and aesthetically pleasing, that would capture the youth.
Yeah.
But once again, I think that is intentionally done. So we don't know the law, so we don't know our rights. Because if the masses knew the power of law, then that would, cause a lot of friction,
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the older generation is kind of scared of this generation because we always do speak up for things that we either online or fight for or feel like it is unjust. Like, even right now in Gaza and Palestine, like, our generation is the reason that it's so much light on it, I will say, because of social media and us just knowing when things are right and when they're wrong. And I feel like also because of the impact our generation has done in spreading awareness and stuff about it on social media, is the reason the U.S. is kind of starting to give aid to Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like...
And I just saw something on Impact that said that there's like some legislation, like some bills are floating around again about the government banning TikTok. And I'm like, right now, I mean, if you go on TikTok, your page, like, is it called the For You page on TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I'm like, is the Instagram For You page the same as TikTok? Okay, but the For You page on TikTok, my For You page is flooded with stuff about Sudan, Congo, Palestine. And I want it to be like that because I need to learn. And I need to really like understand what's going on in the world besides from America. And I mean, because America is perpetuating this violence, these atrocities, and I'm pro Palestine, I'm pro Congo, I'm pro Sudan. I'm not pro my country, quite frankly. But I mean, right now, that's what you see on TikTok, and I think the government, Congress, the people making these laws and bills, and they're seeing these things, and they're like, "Oh, this is intimidating," because they know the power of Gen Z, and I guess that's terrifying.
Yeah, also, I just feel like because you guys are so, I think everything now is just connected through social media. That's probably why they're trying to ban TikTok, because they don't want the truth to come out about what's really happening, or what they don't want the world to really see about the government or whatever it is. So maybe that's why they're banning TikTok also.
Mm-hmm.
But this generation of social media has made a lot of impact, I would say.
We still got Twitter, Instagram. I guess Snapchat. I don't know what you think,
But
what's Snapchat?
Like Instagram is under American control.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Facebook is all American.
Yikes. Yeah.
But TikTok is just where is it? China.
China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Reddit stuff.
I be on Reddit sometimes.
I don't know
Yeah, I love
it is, but I do love Pinterest.
I love Pinterest.
Reddit has some interesting people.
Yeah, that's really good. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, some stuff on there.
The story's funny.
And Cora, I would say Cora. I don't know if it's Cora.
Lord.
But it's like,
Oh yeah,
it's
this
like
is
this
cool.
app,
Yeah.
you just like look up things that you get so much information on it. I just be like, I use that a lot because it's really good. They got
Yeah,
all
it
that stuff.
is. People talk on there like about different stuff.
Yeah,
It's funny stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
you get a lot of information there.
I solved my life problems using porn.
Wow.
It's like Google, but like
Yeah.
it's just combined. Like I don't
That's
know.
how I like it.
Yeah.
I just love it.
I don't know. I've heard that either.
Like no,
Too
like
many new things coming out.
I mean, books are being banned, TikTok is being banned. Like
Books?
I'm very like
The same
books.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
like
the same
Alice
thing.
Walker, The Color Purple, that book is banned in some states. There's a lot of different books that are banned.
Yeah, so we don't
Yeah.
learn this.
Yeah.
I think
And
that
I get taking a lot
also
of like
banned.
history out of schools too, like in Texas and
Florida.
Florida.
So what are you not fixing?
What?
But you're trying to make school while you're around, so.
I mean, but like what's
Oh,
so disheartening about it is that, you know, if books are being banned, books are like where people receive knowledge. And I mean, if TikTok is like the alternative of books in our generation because it's like information that is
So go to the next section. So, since the policies have been, did I ask this? Since the policies have been put in
Yeah,
place, what is your opinion?
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm sorry, you're trying to skip a question.
What's your,
Since these policies have been put in place, what's your opinion on how BCB acted on their requirements? So, let me kind of, I don't know. Like, how do y'all feel BB is doing things with the policies?
They're not
they're
doing
not doing
They
anything.
abuse the power line.
How do you feel? Like,
They think they're the police, and I don't think they run the city, but they think they run the city because they're above the law. They put above the law.
I mean, heck, I've seen police trying to sign just in your past, like,
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I would do
and then
that.
tell them to sign.
Sorry. I would do that.
but it's like you can't do that and then enforce the law. Like, when a citizen was to run that thing where, like, he just ran because he saw him do it.
Wait, he would be dumb.
How would it be done?
Because why would you follow the
I
cop?
think that's
But he was in the wrong. So, like, who's in the right? Like,
But I remember when I was younger, that's the thing, like, if you're the police officer, you can get away with a lot of stuff. I think that's why I wanted to become a police officer. But, no, I got older.
So yeah, they're definitely, yeah, the police are not doing all of the policies whatsoever. Heck, they're using policies as reasons and excuses that if they can't not do their job.
and
Which is
I was just going to say that I don't think they're doing a good job. I read about And honestly, before I even get into this, I would just like to say that it is hard to find like information on BPD when you Google it, and I think they're purposely trying to like wipe the web of like stuff that's going on. That's just my conspiracy, but I mean, I think they're trying to intentionally wipe the web so you won't be able to counter their abuse of power and their corruption. But I found something, and it was a case where in early July 2023, a 16-year-old was arrested by Baltimore Police Department. The officer read him his rights after handcuffing him, and there was a voice over the officer's radio instructing him to just try to find out. So his partner or whoever was on the officer's radio wanted him to find out some information about this scene, but I think the way he went about it was a violation of policy because he read him his rights after handcuffing him. And if he was supposed to be just finding out some information, asking the teenager some questions, etc., at what point did asking someone questions or just trying to find out some information turn into putting handcuffs on a person and actually placing them under arrest?
Right.
And then he asked the team where he got his car and all this other stuff. The video was not published, so the public doesn't have access to that.
Just what they said.
Yes. And his question of like asking the team where he got his car and everything, like it violates like several protocols in policy 1207 because he advised the youth, the individual, of their Miranda rights before interrogation, but policy 1207 says that it's essential that a youth understands their rights and knows that their rights are respected. But there was never any point where he ensured, not ensured, but there
they're gonna put what I said in the report, but they were kind of looking for more positive feedback than negative feedback. So yeah, so it's just like I don't know. There's people out there who are listening, but still shocking to see that even those who work closely with VPD and they don't even know that all of this stuff is going on because they're doing only positive things. And is it? And my question was, is it because you're choosing to only talk to people or ask questions from people who interact with the police positively, or are you actually asking people who have an everyday daily interactions, daily encounters with the police. Like they see the police every day because I feel like they haven't really asked anybody else on Pennsylvania Avenue about police interactions before then, and the police are always on Pennsylvania Avenue. So,
and that makes me wonder, like you said, like, where are you getting this information from? Where are you getting this intel from? Because I don't come in contact with the police all the time because, like I said, at school I barely see them. But when I do see them, it's on a negative occasion.
right.
When the police came to my house pounding on my door, that was a negative occasion. And I think that experience alone, I mean, it's a very traumatizing experience. So, I mean, I am not really understanding like why they're only aware of these positive experiences. And I mean, I guess that's a good thing to finally hear some positivity, but there is still, you know, a lot of negative. Yeah, and light needs to be shed on those situations.
Yeah. Yes. No. Okay. That's a so. How do you? It's literally legislation year. This is election year, so we time to vote for everything. So we know these policies are really going to be challenged, especially since PPD is against it because it's hindering them. But like, how do you feel about them being challenged during this year?
It's dumb.
It's dumb.
Very dumb.
Why you say it's dumb?
Because the reasons I could give that he wants to challenge the policies is completely false. These policies don't inhibit their methods of work. It doesn't specifically say in the policies that, hey, you can't put youth into custody. It's just saying you need to follow these specific procedures before putting youth in custody. And even these specific procedures shouldn't actually add that much more to their workload.
That should make it easier.
Honestly.
I agree with Michael. If you're challenging something, I hope that you're positively challenging it and modifying it for the sake of simplifying things for youth and ensuring that they are protected. I mean, you talked about earlier how, I mean, I don't know who we could talk to directly about these 12 pages of law, of policy, but I mean, to keep that, but make an additional set of law that's for youth to be able to interpret and understand. And it's not about saying, oh, you know, and I'm not saying like simplify these things because people can't, you know, read these things. But I mean, seriously, it's like some language where I'm like, the average 17-year-old, 16-year-old is not talking like that. So please just like simplify it a bit.
The average college student isn't talking about that either. They're still just learning how to. People are still learning, and learning vocabulary. Like a lot of words are new, and then especially lawful words, like they're hard to understand.
Yeah. So I agree with Michael. I mean, don't challenge them, modify them. Like modify the policies. Actually, I mean, I read in the Brunswick News that 90% of youth defendants waive their Miranda rights, likely because they do not understand it. Mm-hmm. So that just proves that, you know, that this language, this lawful language, as you said, needs to be modified. And I feel like it's really like during this legislation, I mean, people should really shed more light on police officers developing strategies for building rapport with not just students, but like community members. And I mean, in Pikesville, where I go to school, I mean, the town is predominantly Jewish. So, I mean, but my school has more Black kids than white kids. But, I mean, why is it that I just keep seeing these negative experiences that Black students have with police officers, but I don't see these white students, like, having these same encounters, these same experiences. And, I mean, our issues are vastly different because we go to the same school but live in two different worlds.
Right.
But what I will say is, overall, holistically, the way they, I mean, I would just say we need to talk about like fair treatment at this point, and more strategies for anti-black discrimination, and more and strategies against anti-black racism, because it's really ridiculous.
Yeah. London, you want to say something?
I would have said it's like basically nothing about black people, so they might feel like they're in slavery, you know what I'm saying? I just say kind of sad.
Yeah. So, with that, we're gonna close the episode. Um, thank you guys for watching our episode. Stay tuned for a little video we got about the policies after this. And we would like to thank our supporters for tuning in, our community for believing, and we'll talk to you guys on the next B.Y.O.LOGUES. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe.
So yeah.
Bye.
Youth Policies 1207 and 1202, youth interactions and youth interrogations were made so that youth in Baltimore would feel safe and know they have rights when they do come in contact with the police. The police also have these policies to make sure that they are following all rules and regulations in policies when it comes to talking and interacting with minors in the city and or county. So B.I.O. wants to make sure you know all the do's and don'ts when it comes to interacting with the police. Let's start with the 3 do's. First, remain calm. Keep your voice and tone down to a normal level. Make sure you are always calm and you think before you speak. 2, maintain eye contact and a calm composure. Try to make sure you do not show your nerves. And lastly, try to record either video or audio and be confident and respectful. Making sure you have a recording on video and audio is for your safety. Now let's move on to the 3 don'ts. The first don't show aggression. Don't use curse words or raise your voice or show attitude unless being threatened or attacked. Then you must draw attention to yourself. Number 2, don't fidget or make yourself appear nervous. Again, try to stay as calm as possible in these situations. If it helps, take a deep breath. 3, always remember, never mistake what you think is confidence with arrogance when holding a conversation with an officer you come into contact with. If you do end up being taken into custody, your Miranda rights must be read to you at that very moment. And we have 4 key points to help you understand your Miranda rights and what to do when taken into custody. The first key point is you do not have to answer any questions that an officer may ask. It is your right to remain silent. Key point number 2. If anything, make sure you ask for your parent and or lawyer immediately or as soon as you feel uncomfortable or unsafe. Do not agree or sign anything without either one present. Key point number 3. What you say to the police can be used against you in the court and make matters worse. Make sure you think before you speak. TBYS. And lastly, key point number 4. If you do not understand what has been read to you, do not agree or sign anything and say, I do not understand. Now, remember everything I just told you. Share it with a friend, and let's go join our advocates in our next B.I.O.LOGUES.